Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday of the Petty Crew Radio Show. It is an honor and privilege to be before our audience today. We have a great show lined up for you. With that being said, I'm your boy Boss Hogg, host of the Petty Crew Radio Show, and as usual, I was thinking about her today, and I was like, again, she already knows she's the most loyalist woman I know. And I'm like, this thing is a marriage, and she is really like ride or die. I am dead serious. I am speaking for no other than the first lady of sports, ROSZ. What's good, ROSZ?
Now, don't say marriage too loud. I have commitment issues, so you may not see me for the next
Listen,
couple of weeks.
all I need is the loyalty for you. Remember, we had that conversation already. It's the loyalty
You
for
may
me.
not see me for the next couple of weeks. So,
Yeah, I mean, so with
but
that,
no, happy to be back. We had a little break
yeah,
uh,
listen.
for a couple of weeks. If we can keep Boss Hogg out of jail, then we'll be doing good.
I apologize. See, I wouldn't even go talk about it on air, but yes, I'm definitely in jail. We have had what? It's been 3 weeks since our last show.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, after 4 years, man, I just realized like we've hit it hard. We're still here when shows have just folded. And so I know, you know, it was a point in time where, you had to take a break. And for me, honestly, after 4 years, I had just kind of, like I tell my audience all the time, I just lost that kind of spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, just going through life and everything else. But we are back. We promise our audience that we will definitely get back to consistent shows. With that being said, thanks to everybody that's tuning in. And let me also present to you guys our very special guest, all the way in Connecticut. She goes by the name Arie Wiley. She is a insurance agent, and she also deals in, if I'm not mistaken, investments. Correct?
Yes, getting
She
into
deals in investment, and also this young lady for the past 12 years have been into, if I'm not mistaken, pharmaceutical research. Correct?
Yep, that's actually my full-time career.
Okay. So again, and a master's in biology. So we have a well educated
Right.
Black woman on the show today. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Please like and share our show. We have a great show lined up for you guys. And so let's jump right into it. We're going to speak with Arie in the wake of AJ Johnson. You guys know who he is. He was the comedian well known as Ezel on Friday.
So let me raise my hand to that because I did not know. Well, I didn't know who Ezel was, and people was like Ezel died, and I was like, I have no idea. But to be a part of the conversation, I was like, oh man,
Wait a minute. So
what tapping
hold up, we
Ezel?
gotta take your damn black card. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you're watching, we are about to take ROSZ's black card right now before we even get this damn show rolling.
So I
ROSZ,
watched Friday, but I didn't like. I wasn't a lover of Friday. Like I didn't watch any more after that. Friday, next Friday, Friday after
I
next,
don't
the
care,
second Friday
ROSZ.
coming, a
I
couple more Fridays down the
I don't
line.
go on Friday and watch that like I do movies I really like, but I still remember.
I have no idea. Like I remember the pimp. Um,
Because you like pimps.
well, I mean, pimp. Uh, I remember the pimp. I remember, of course, Ice Cube and Chris Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
But I like as far as verbatim and all this, like I know people that can just quote this movie like beginning to end, and I'm like, what? Oh, okay, yeah, no.
Okay,
So when everybody was like Ezel, and I was like, I don't remember him from that. I remember him from the Players Club, but I don't remember him from. I watched the Players Club. I had a couple of quotes.
Listen, Arie, please forgive me. She's showing out. Have you noticed how everything got to do with like pimping and?
I was about to say,
I've
seen a trend, right?
Yeah, it's a trend. But hold on,
collective memory.
So you guys that are watching the show, let me let you guys know ahead of time what we're gonna talk about. Again, we have our very special guest, Arie Wiley, who is a insurance agent all the way in Connecticut. But we're also going to be talking about the situation with the immigrants and the pictures that surface on the internet at the border with the Haitians. And so we're going to jump into that and get everybody take on that. We're also going to talk about Deion Sanders, who was very vocal when he found out that Alcorn State did not have or was not able to practice a couple of days because they did not have a full-time trainer. Again, when we're talking about our black athletes going to HBCUs versus POWs, right? No, predominantly white, PWIs, predominantly white institutions. These are some of the things that come up, and we're going to jump into that. Then we always got to keep it controversial on the Petty Crew Radio Show. We're going to talk about a scenario or a status that I've seen on social media that basically talks about a third grader who asked about his teacher who is gay. And he has a picture of him and his significant other on the desk. However, you have parents who are living behind it, went to the principal. And so I want to get you guys' thoughts on that situation. Again, we're in the middle of this LGBT movement where they want to be accepted for who they are. And this is another conversation that we definitely have to have. We got to have those uncomfortable conversations about this because everything is not peachy for them. So with that being said, let's get back to ROSZ and this whole Ezel. And again, for you guys that don't know, his name was AJ Johnson, famous comedian. But really took the cake, and I'm glad that we have Arie on with us today, is because his wife came out because when he died, they had no life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of African American people in our community do, they created GoFundMe. And she talked about in her interview how everybody was showing her all this fake love and it's the support, but for her and her family, she needs the finances necessary. And mind you, they're in California.
Mm-hmm.
Shit costs money.
Right.
Area here in Dallas, Texas, and Connecticut probably look totally different than what it looked like in California. Eventually, you had some celebrities to come out, and I think at the time, leading up to today, I believe a couple of famous comedians donated $10,000. Lil Rel, Michael Blackston, and they raised about $43,000, and that still might not even be enough to cover everything that needs to be done for this guy's funeral. Again, thank everybody for tuning in. Right now, we're talking about the situation with AJ Johnson, and this leads into our interview with our insurance agent. What's up, ROSZ? What you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, I understand that she wants to bury him, and if you don't have the financial means to bury him, I'm thinking, how much are you trying to spend? What are you trying to do in celebration of this person's life? I don't know what his career looked like over the span of years that he was in the business, but why don't you do something intimate, right, with the money that you have received, and then use the rest of that money to make sure to pay off some of the stuff that he left, instead of trying to have this $50,000 celebration, right, for everybody else, because this is not for you. This is for everybody else. 10 G's. Like I think I've got my funeral down to 5 G's. I don't need a whole lot. I don't want to put in a $10,000 casket that's going to go on the ground for nobody ever to see. That's just like me buying red bottoms and keeping them in a box. What is
right?
It's not going to be seen. So, I mean, literally, I have told, make my funeral as minimal as possible. For one, I don't want an open casket. I don't like people looking at me now. Please don't look at me while I'm laying down. Keep that closed. Whatever it is, keep it closed. Actually, do a graveside. Let everybody come, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, say their piece. Rent out a bar room or an event center. say a couple of words, and enjoy, because that's how I live my life. Enjoy that part of it.
Mhm.
But when you start looking at these funerals, that's for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to show everybody else, but you're struggling. If you don't have the means in your account to bury him a certain way, then you're struggling,
Mhm.
right? So why
Right.
would you take $40,000 when you can spend $10,000 and then catch up on those bills that he had left behind? So you won't be further burdened, because you're just going to ask again and then ask and then ask, because evidently he didn't have a life insurance policy, which is why we're at a GoFundMe,
Right.
right? So let's be smart about that money that we're spending. A $20,000 casket that we are never going to see again. I mean, really?
Well, okay, Arie. And again, we're gonna talk to you. So let's go on and jump into you. And it just so happened that everything just happened to where he died. She come out with her statements, and then it's like, bam, we have a perfect time for you to be on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in coincidence, because again, I think it's been 2 or 3 years since we've had an insurance agent on our show. And we can never, in the Black community, continue to have these conversations.
Right.
Let me be the first to admit, I told you on this show, we keep it real. I spend money. We got bills. I just come from a vacation in Indianapolis for a week. Now, luckily, I didn't bring my daughter with me, because I planned the vacation wrong. She was in school, so just me and my son. Now, if you know my son, everybody know my son have a special needs son who has autism. He don't give a damn what we do. We could just sit in the house all day and he just walk around. That don't cost nothing. That's saving money. But I still spend money. And it hit me every time I get life insurance information. I'm like, I'm messing up. I will be the first to admit, I used to have a policy. Then I was like, just like other people who, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind, so much other stuff going on that we don't think about it. And so I want to be transparent with me, because I was one of those. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have money in the bank. So they'll just use my money, you know what I'm saying, to take care of me, not let me get a whole, life insurance place and all that. And so, again, we have you here. Please, again, reintroduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are. And from there, what I want you to move into is, why is it important? We got to keep putting in people's head why it's important to have life insurance.
And also touch on the like what would be a good amount for you when it comes to you and your personal estate,
right,
dealing with the family, because people think 10 G's and that's good, but they, you still got to pay off some stuff after that person is gone. So and add that too, because that's something that a whole lot of people don't think about either.
Okay. So yeah, once again, Ariana Wiley. People call me Arie. That's why I put Arie in the quotes. It's my nickname, so I go by. From Connecticut. I'm actually originally from California. So we were talking about California. That's where I was born. That's where my dad's whole side of the family is. I go back there occasionally to visit. But yeah, what I've been doing is life insurance for almost 4 years now. Licensed in 20 states. So, wherever business takes me, I'm pretty much selling some life insurance policies. I'm just now getting into investments as far as licensing, but, of course, providing information, that's fine. That's another thing that people miss when it comes to finances is planning for retirement. That's another conversation, but, that is something that I'm trying to change. I'm tired of seeing people retire and have to go back and work at, Walmart or, do one of the cashier somewhere. It's just like we're not really planning for it. But as far as the life insurance, the amount that you should have, people do kind of mess that part up, right? They think like 10 or 15,000 from the job is going to be okay, not knowing that funeral that the family might get charged is like $12,000, right? That leaves them crumbs to raise the kids, to keep the lights on, to pay the mortgage, whatever they pay for. You should have 5 to 10 times your annual income in life insurance, right? If somebody makes 30 grand a year, they should have 150,000 to 300,000. You make 50,000 a year, you should have 250,000 to 500,000, right? That's the range, 5 to 10 times. 100 grand a year, you should have $1 million policy. Like the reason is we want to be able to replace your income for the next 10 years, and your family will not even feel like they lost a paycheck from you just dying. Right? People don't think about the paychecks from a job, business, whatever earned income they have. It stops when someone passes away, right? The job's not going to just keep sending a check home like, oh, you know, Roz, she was such a good employee. Let me just go pay her family for 6 more months because they need it. It doesn't happen like that. And that's why life insurance comes into play. Earlier, one of you mentioned something about like smaller policies. There are burial and final expense policies, right? I don't do those. That's the ones that are like 10, maybe maximum of 25,000. It's literally for burial and any final expenses that might be lingering. It's not for your family to continue their life. That's what life insurance is for, right? I hear a lot from people from the community say, just throw me in a box, just cremate me. I don't need this $150,000 policy. I could save money by XYZ. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we can put you in a box, but you got kids to feed, right? If you got kids that might want to go to college, are they going to have to scrape and get all types of student loans because you're not there to even give them a couple $100 a month? You know what I mean?
Right.
So those are things that, you know, I just put in perspective for clients or prospective clients so they can start thinking about it like, oh, this is necessary. Even if I start with something small, minimally for the policies that I write, $25 a month. I can package a policy for $25 a month, and it can include 2 spouses and all of the kids. It might be a very small amount. It might be that 15 or 20,000 on each adult, but at least, you know, no one's posting a GoFundMe for burial expenses.
Right.
And you can always increase at any given time. So I always ask my client, do you got $25? Let's set up something. At least we know we're not going to be scraping money together if you passed away tomorrow to put you to rest, right?
Right.
So $25. And then, you know, of course, it goes up from there, the more coverage that you need or require. But yeah, that's the minimum that we can do.
Well, and also what I want to know, I lost my great uncle probably about 2 months ago. And fuck it, this the show. I gotta be real. I seen my cousin, they posted a GoFundMe. Now, this is the first time I personally, from somebody in my family, posting anything GoFundMe wise, burial related. You know what I'm saying? Like ever. And so, of course, you know, me, my brother, my mom, and you know, we made sure we contributed to that GoFundMe. What I want to know is why do we not buy life insurance policies? And for those who watching, because there's always somebody that's gonna say, well, we do buy life insurance policies. I'm not talking about the people that do no shit. I know we buy life insurance policies. But for the most part, we don't, which is one of the reasons why we do not have generational wealth. If you are listening to Miss Wiley, and if you understand where she's getting to, where she's talking about $500,000 policies, $1 million policies, and making sure your kids are straight, is what she's talking about is what these Caucasian Americans do. And the reason why they have money now, because their grandfather left money to their father, and their father left money to their daughters, and they continue the process of saying, you know what, if I leave, guess what? Y'all can split $1 million. Y'all. Make sure if you want to buy a home, if you want to go to college. And again, I'm asking, and this can be answered by Miss Wiley, ROSZ, what is it about us where we spend money on everything else? We on vacations. We on girl trips.
We obeying it.
Let's be real. Look, man. And again, I always start with me. Before I made it to Indianapolis, I spent $500. From Dallas, Texas, I say I got to Illinois. I done already spent $500 before I ever stayed a week. $500 is a probably a year over, damn near 2 years life insurance policy.
I was about to say you could have paid up a policy and been covered
for a couple of years. But why do we not? I want to know, why is it that we don't do that? Why is it that we'll break bread on Gucci, Jordans,
because you can't wear the life insurance if the life insurance policy came in a belt and you can show it off, LI, on the front, it'll be there, diamond encrusted, leather trimming, whatever. Because we always look for what we show our money. We don't retain it, we show it. So if you don't have a Coach bag or the Gucci bag or the Jordans or the True Jeans or the whatever, then in most people's heads, then you don't have any money. You're poor. Right. But if you look at these other tones, they are at thrift stores, they're at consignment shops, they are purchasing secondhand, they are at state sales. I mean, they don't go out and get the latest and greatest. They don't invest money in something that's not going to give them a return back. First and foremost, homes. They don't have unless you just really out there balling out of control. They don't have the Aston Martins, all that other stuff, because they know once you pull that car off the lot, its value is already gone.
Right.
So you try to go get, they'll get an Audi, something that's, good and economical and da 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 da. But they don't go get that BMW. They're not always at Park Place. That's us, because we got to show that we have money, and this is how we know how to do it. It's about what you put on, what you have on your back, what we see, what's tangible. They don't know that their life insurance policy is an investment, long-term investment. As the commercials say, you can buy a cup of coffee a day that'll equal your life insurance policy for a month.
Much.
It's not retained that way, and then we're not necessarily taught that way. It wasn't passed down to us. You need a life insurance policy. My mom never really sat down and talked to me about a life insurance policy. She's always had one on all of her kids and herself, but she never really said anything, right? It wasn't until I got to a job that I started paying for my own insurance, that life insurance policy. Oh, well, yeah, give me everything. Like I don't know if I'm going to be dismembered. I don't know if I'm gonna give me Aflac, give me everything. Whatever says that I don't have to keep coming out of my pocket to pay stuff if I get hurt, I want it.
Right.
Whatever that is, give me that. And then once you get it, and then you start looking at it. Oh, it covers this. Oh, I didn't know it does that. Oh, so my life insurance policy, once I pay into it for 5 years, I didn't know that. So that's an investment. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, give me that. Okay, well, yeah. But it's not something that's passed down. It's like we stop. We don't give that information forward to anybody else in ours. We don't set it up so our daughters or our sons can have an easier life than what we had. We're just looking at the cost of the burial. I have my own insurance policy. I think mine is set about $200, $250, somewhere along in there. And I've already told him my funeral shouldn't cost me more than 5 G's. If you spending more than 5 G's, you done did a whole lot of stuff wrong. For one, you do what I asked you to do. That's first. Because I don't need you to spend, like when we went to Golden Gate to do a funeral, somebody I know close had died and we were picking out caskets and all that. Caskets ain't cheap. I mean, they had a $65,000 funeral. What are we doing? Is this person coming back? Like, what are we doing for 65? But you get a carriage ride. For who?
Right.
They don't even know they in a carriage. And where they going?
Again, Arie, and feel free to jump in because I really want to know your thoughts. Let me say something on that. Let's be real. Funerals are for the living. The reason why AJ Johnson's wife need this money, well, first is because one, I believe in her mind, she seemed like a genuine lady. He married a what I call a real black woman. You know, ain't one of these Hollywood women. I think she thinks he deserved a nice funeral. You get what I'm saying? I get it. My only problem is that why were you not talking to him when he was living? You follow what I'm saying? Versus now being mad at the people who don't owe you anything other than their condolences. They don't have to come out their pocket for your husband's responsibility, your responsibility as his wife to say, hey, since your ass ain't smart enough to get life insurance on you and me, I'm going to put it on there. And Arie, again, jump in. Like, what are your thoughts? Why is it that we, again, I heard ROSZ, but why do we not purchase life insurance policies?
I think a lot of people struggle with making sacrifices. Just like ROSZ said, like buying a coffee a day could be your whole policy. They don't want to not buy that coffee or maybe make it at home or, you know, anything that's going to switch that. It's a mindset. It's definitely like a mental thing with a lot of people. Like, I mean, I'm not, you know, innocent in this. Like, I've been very bad with finances in the past. In, you know, recent times, like basically pandemic time, I started switching even my own mindset, like saving money, right? Prior, I used to pay my bills when I got paid. Now I pay myself first. Just doing that little switch, like my whole financial situation changed, like from last year to this year. It's just sacrifice. People they feel like they need that Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts coffee, whatever they buy every day religiously. They feel they've convinced themselves that they need it. They convince themselves that they need that new pair of shoes that's about to come out that costs $150 when really they could invest that $150 that month, right? And those are the same people that you ask them, oh, did you pay yourself first? Oh, no, I don't have no money after I pay these bills and I do this and that. I don't have no money left over. And it's like, look what you just bought this month. Like, go back to your receipts and your bank statements.
Right.
Yeah, and you'll see everything that you spent money on. People don't want to change that, you know, that I don't even know the term for it. You know what I mean? It's just people, it's like they're stuck, even though people don't like being stuck there. You know what I mean? You got to change. Right.
Like ROSZ was saying, it's basically a mindset of if I can't touch it, if I can't have it now, I don't want it. And I'll let everybody else. And again, you know, I have to be honest with myself, man, because I'm with AAA. And AAA was always sending, you know, insurance at a discount. You know, it ain't nothing to get, you know, $500,000, you know, for a little or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I'm sitting up here, I'm telling you, I know what I was doing. I'm looking, but I look at my bank statements every day. I'm paying some. I joke at my family all the time. I'm paying something every week. I gotta pay something every week, and I'm sitting up here looking, and I'm like, well, damn. If I can spend money on this, I can also spend money on life insurance. As much as I hate, I gotta die one day, and I'm one of those who think about that shit for real. Now I literally.
That's reality. Like, right. But we don't want to talk about the real stuff. Like, the reality is that we're going to die. Like, there is none you can. If there's nothing else that is more set in stone, the only thing that's missing is that we don't know when. But none of us. That's the one thing we have in common, that we are all going to die. And for some people, that's like even though, you know, you have your faith, and you know that when you die, you're going to go to heaven, and it's a beautiful thing, and streets to go. But when you say, "Hey, you're going to die," what? Don't be bringing that over here. But you just in church about the streets paved. You're going to say,
"That's true."
Are you mad at me for what? What are we doing? Like,
and it should be. You would think that we would turn around and say, you know what? Let's make sure that we're not burdening our families with these expenses
Mhm.
when you leave.
But people don't care about that because they're not here. So they ain't got to think about it no more.
Yeah,
They're-
unfortunately.
yeah, they're gone.
Well,
What
I would
concern
say this.
is it to them that they left $500,000 in bills in debt that's going to go to their estate, which
Sure
goes
right.
to the family
Right.
estate? Right? Somebody is accountable for that, and for the most part. But most people don't care about that because they're not here. So, I mean,
So Miss Wiley,
Yes.
explain to the people who are watching, our audience, what are the different type of insurance policies in which people can obtain. And again, man, this is a very serious subject because we make joke about this shit on social media and all these GoFundMe, but honestly, it ain't cute.
Right.
Because when I die, I don't want nobody to think, oh, that nigga was like, he was
Taking
winning.
care of business.
And now my children or significant other, now they burdened with, I'm like, damn, I just had to say to myself, I'd be damned if I get looked at like that. I don't need nobody running no GoFundMe. We good. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to be straight. So explain to the people who are watching all the different type of insurance policies in which a person can get.
Okay. So one type that's real common, popular, you probably hear it, whole life, right? But it's really like a category. There's a couple type of whole life type policies. There's whole life, universal life, variable life. They basically come with a life insurance policy and a savings account, and they're together, right? They're like the same account. So basically, you pay your premium every month, and they break apart the premium. They put some towards covering the life insurance. They put some into that savings account. Now, those policies are a good fit for some people, but really it's the high price that gets people to, they can't afford it. Or if they can afford it now, they probably can't later because usually the price increases. So just imagine paying $200, $300, $500 a month on some. Yeah, they can get up there. It's because, like I said, they break it apart. They got to cover those two entities, right? Those two benefits. Now, I can't say that I do those type of policies. I do not write those type of policies. I only do term life. Term life is also nicknamed pure life. Just pure insurance, right? It's going to give you your life insurance. That's what's going to pay your family for the next 10 years and have them paying bills. And like I said, I'm getting into investments now. I got 2 more exams to pass, and I'll be doing my own investments
already.
And basically, we separate the life insurance and the investment, right? Because when they're together in one account, let's say somebody, I don't know, doesn't update their banking information in their policy lapse, or they lost their job, right? If they had some money, they risk losing the money that had built up in that savings account, right? When you separate the two, let's say the life insurance policy lapses. It happens to a lot of my clients sometimes, because things like that. The policy's gone, but if they have that investment account with the cash, that's still there. That's not going to expire. That's not going to lapse. And that money is going to get paid out to their family when they die. You do have to put a beneficiary on all your investments. That's like the most important thing, because if something happens to you tomorrow and you got 50 grand in your investment, you don't want the company keeping that, right? When it comes to those policies with the savings account attached to the policy, when the insured or the client dies, the family doesn't get that money. That money gets kept and surrendered, left with the company. So that's how people kind of lose money in those policies. But like I said, there's something for everybody. There are people out there that can afford $400, $500 a month. They're usually those rich people. But for people that are like working class, separating the two gives them more control. That way they can cancel one, keep the other, switch it up. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be, potentially your premium going up, because that's something that happens with the other policies, with market rates and stuff. They have to increase the policy, the price. So that's kind of how we do it. Also, another thing, because Roz was talking about AFLAC and accidental and dismemberment. So all of our policies, they come with a terminal illness rider of 40%. What that means is, right, if you get a diagnosis of a terminal illness from your doctor, You let us know, and we'll give you a check for 40% of your death benefit, up to 400,000. Right. So you got $1 million policy. We're gonna give you a check for 400,000. We also have another option that instead of getting 40%, you can get 70%, and you get a disability perk. So if you're disabled for 6 months, we refund you the 6 months you paid, and going forward, you got a free policy on us. We're gonna pay for your monthly policy. Because you're on disability. Most likely, if you're on disability, your income's lower, you're not working.
Right.
So
more than likely, they won't be able to pay that life insurance policy.
Right.
As well. And is this so the type of policy you're talking about this is under term life, correct?
This is term life. Yep.
Okay, so is it safe to say that term life is for your every average day Joe?
Yes.
9 to 5 entrepreneur.
Yep.
1099? You know, where you can get what's going to fit you at the time, and you can increase it without having to worry about
exactly
your monthly increase. And again, thank everybody for tuning in. Please like and share. Shout out to everybody who's watching us on YouTube, Twitter. Again, we're talking with my special guest all the way from Connecticut, Miss Arie Wiley, who is a insurance agent. And right now we're just getting into insurance policies, and we're want to hammer home the importance of African Americans, our people, getting insurance policies. Again, I want to reiterate, one of the main reasons why we're 400 years behind our white counterparts is because of what they call generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
These men and women you see now would not always have money. They have money now because their families continue the legacy of, when I'm gone, this is what I'm going to leave the family. I've left the family home. It's going to be in somebody's name. Somebody's going to get the tax write-off and benefits of owning this home. Life insurance policies. Little Kenny might want to start a business, but his dad left him, $250,000. So guess what? He has a great opportunity to do something major.
Right.
With money. Go to college. Hell, he could pay off 4 years at a
no
decent school and not have to worry about books, room and board, tuition, because his parents, somebody put him in a position to be successful. And in our community, sadly, and we're coming off the heels of our last celebrity who passed away, which is AJ Johnson, in the fact that he himself did not. He should have known better. Let's be real. We black, but we go out that go at our own too. Now I got a problem if somebody else go at our own, but we can go at our own. We have earned that right. But he should have known better, being in a profession like comedy where there is no insurance policies. If you get sick, you got to come out of pocket, because he's just basically a one-man entrepreneur. He's a one.
Right.
And so we have to stop finding ourselves in these positions where, again, we make jokes about these GoFundMes. Because at the end of the day, if you didn't know, nobody owed you nothing. One thing my mama taught us is that nobody owed you shit. Nobody. Mm-hmm. Nobody owes you nothing. And even in these situations, nobody have to pay into GoFundMe. Like Ross was stating earlier, hell, what you need all that money for? It's just put his ass in the ground. Cremate him, do something private.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's not. And like I said, I mean, I don't want to belittle anybody's homegoing celebration, but it's more for us than it is for them, because they're gone, right? Their body is gone, So right now it's like the celebration of life. And in my head, it's because my daughter is an only child. So the burden would be on her, with the help of my family, to do my funeral. Well, I don't really want, I'm sure, I don't know when I'm going to go. Let me put that out there. But I am making steps to make sure that it's the most easiest process in the world. Like I'm starting to pick out my own stuff. I'm even writing my program. I don't want a whole lot of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think she froze. Roz might have
Yeah.
froze. So she'll come back in.
Like,
There we go.
okay, because I'm saying everybody else started. I don't want. So I'm trying to do everything myself to lessen the burden, so I know it to be how I want it to be, and I don't care about what people say. Oh, she just went to the grave. So are you paying? You're not paying. You didn't pay for nothing. Okay, good.
Right.
Then go get you some chicken and biscuits, like everybody else at the little banquet hall. Say a couple
Right.
words about me, and then go on. Because all
Yeah.
that, it just stuck in my head. Looking at the cost of a casket that nobody is ever going to see. Like, if nothing else stuck in my head, $10,000 on a casket.
Mm.
10. I don't even know if I'm comfortable
Mhm.
because I am no longer there. I mean, but am I wrong?
Comfortable.
I don't even know if I'm comfortable. Like, because I am not in it. 10 like that. If nothing else stuck out in my head, 100 programs, 100 programs was 1,000.
Whoa. She got stuck at 1,000.
You got no way.
And look at her. She just got a little head fucked up. Roz, we got you, Phil. We definitely got you. Listen, throughout the show, we're going to keep going back and forth and bouncing about insurance, but we're going to keep this, we got to keep the show going. And so now let's switch gears into the situation that happened down there at the border. If I'm not mistaken, Del Rio. For you guys, over the past weekend, images of Border Patrol on horses were trying to prevent Haitians, immigrants, from coming into this country. It caused a big outrage. People liken it to, the slave master, whipping us.
Yeah.
Definitely because they were people of color. That imagery came back. White men, people of color, it just brought back those memories. And so Roz brought the story to us and was like, hey, this is something that we discuss. And we discuss and talk about all type of issues. We have fun. We also need to touch on what's going on with the world around us. If you watch the scene, the pictures, I really didn't want to share them. But what I wanted to do was get into why is it different for these Haitians coming into the country when we are allowing, let's be real, and we're trying to make way for Mexicans. I hope I said that correctly. Hispanics, coming from Mexico, who are trying to do the same thing coming to this country. Yes, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, but it just seemed like, and I might be wrong, and please jump in and help me and give your thoughts. It just seemed like where it has become acceptable and we're catering to a group of people, and then the world is saying, well, why are you not helping these Haitians who, if you know anything about what happened to them, they had a massive earthquake again.
Mm-hmm.
Their president was assassinated. Calamity. Everything is just going on with Haiti. And right now, Haiti is just not a place where they feel safe. They definitely were not winning financially, jobs. And so, they, like every other immigrant, is trying to get to America for that American dream. Arie, when you seen those pictures, like, what went on in your mind after seeing what was going on with that whole border situation?
I definitely had thoughts of just back to slavery days. People always say, like, people they always make it seem like slavery days was so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
For stuff to resurface like that, like it wasn't that long ago. You know what I mean? And
right.
it's too eerily similar to what was going on, 60 years ago.
Right.
And it's disgusting. Like, a couple of the pictures I saw was like people swimming across water with their little ones.
Right.
Like that hurt. That hurt just to see that. Like I got a 3-year-old, and I was just thinking, like, if I had to go through that, or someone I knew, family member had to go through that, like these are people. These aren't just animals. They're humans. Like I don't really see a problem with letting them come across. Like I don't, you know what I mean? It's like it's inhumane, and I feel like America makes it seem like this is such a like a melting pot and stuff, is the opportunity and all that stuff. But then when things like this happen, it makes you think complete. I mean, at least that's what they taught us in school, right? But that's just starting to look like a big old lie nowadays. Now that we're older, it's like, come on, like they're people. The people, they got kids. They just want to live their life. Like, what's the issue?
And you speaking of kids, I started to think about just how long that trip was from wherever they were coming from,
right,
to get to a point. Now, for you guys who don't know, in the little background, once they made it, they were already kind of prevented from coming because there was a gate. If you've seen some of those pictures, there's like a gate or fence, and they were just waiting there at the fence. You had people, humanitarian aid people who were trying to give them water, feed them, who were not allowed, which also sparked the controversy. Like, we know that they have a need. They have children. There's no telling when the last time that they ate.
Right.
And again, like you said, we're sold on this ideal that America is the place of when you're supposed to think of America, it's this freedom, it's this land of opportunity, it's this, you can make all your dreams come true. Now, if you're here and you Black, that looks totally different.
Right.
It sounds good, like you said, but in reality, that is a little bit more subjective. It's not as easy as it seems.
It's by case basis.
Because that's how we promote this country. It's the land of opportunity, and you can come. Another thing about those pictures was that it was said that they were using whips to physically assault these Haitians. Now, we do need to correct this, because on this show we like to speak the truth. We're not just going to talk some shit that is not true. If they didn't have whips, they have long reins. If you know anything about horses, that's what controls the horses. But it was still long enough to look like, from the pictures and them moving, like the border guys were using it. Now, here's the deal. It didn't make it any better, because they were using the reins to kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Physically, harm somebody.
If it was a damn whip or not, they still used it in a manner which would make it seem like it's a whip. And like you said, for people of color, that bring back pain and images in our mind of how our people, because let's be real, those Haitians are our people, were treated, which goes back to slavery. Again, a lot of people don't understand the history of slavery. It just didn't start in here. No, they were dropping their ass off in Jamaica. They were dropping their ass off in Trinidad. That's how we got here. You got to know your whole history. We didn't come from Africa straight to America. No, we like second generation, and folks were coming from these other countries, because we somehow believe that America is the place that has more Black folks. That's not true. Those Black folks went to Brazil. They would drop. Slavery wasn't just in America. Slavery was worldwide. So that's how you see those people of color everywhere in the world. And ROSZ, thank you for jumping back in. ROSZ had some technical difficulties, but right now we're jumping into. I don't know what happened, but you would look good talking, and you pause like this.
Was I still cute with it? As long as I was cute with it, that's all that matters.
I was like, look at ROSZ. She just.
I know my angles.
Yeah. So we're talking about the picture of the Haitians who were at the border, and the imagery, and what type of feelings it that it brought about with people of color. ROSZ, again, you've seen the pictures. What were your thoughts on what's going on, or what is your thoughts on what's going on at the border?
My back.
I hear you. You good?
Okay, I see swirly lines. So if I go in and out, I don't know what's going on. So if I hop back out, I'll be back as soon as they reboot again. Well, initially, of course, outrage. No human being should be treated that way. Over the whole thing. I mean, it's not just a picture of the whip, but of the whole scenario. These people are trying to escape a horrible.
If you can hear us, just keep talking. I think I know where you was going, and it's just crazy on this day. ROSZ is having technical difficulties again. ROSZ, if you can hear us, just keep talking. You'll pop back in. But I think what ROSZ was trying to say is that these people are just like I was just stating, trying to get out of a situation and escape what they're going through in their country. And again, in their mind, they thinking coming in here is going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
They think that's the key word. They think it's going to be better, not realizing what we've gone through. Because one thing I tell people about America has done a great job of putting on.
Yeah,
they do a great job of that propaganda. I tell people all the time. America going at Afghan and all them, putting out propaganda, China. I say, but we also put out propaganda too. And that's the reason why a lot of people want to come to America, because they believe that somehow they're going to achieve something. Not that you can't. We're not saying that. But what they don't know is that because you are a person of color, it is a little bit more difficult to get to where you think you're trying to go. Not that you can't do it, because people do it every day of color.
Right. I saw a post yesterday. I think it was in one of the like the mom groups, the black mom groups I'm in on Facebook. And basically what it said was bachelor's degrees didn't start losing value until we started getting them. And that was like bachelor's degrees didn't start losing value until we started getting them. And you know how black women are the highest educated population now? Like, we getting master's degrees, we're getting PhDs, MDs.
Okay.
Right? But you know how most jobs now, like a bachelor's degree is looked at as like a high school diploma. Right?
So what you're trying to say is, see, that's a whole other conversation, but since
it is.
No, it's not. Because it all goes back to why people try to come here and how the forces that be, those people who are in control, who have access, control access, treat things. Right now, you're talking about how now degrees have become devalued as African American women have become the most educated. They are the most educated people,
right?
All across the board.
And it's so true. Like you said earlier, I've been in corporate, America 12 years doing pharmaceutical research, and I can't even tell you the amount of times that when people actually have a conversation with me, and they find out I have a master's degree, it's wow, you have a master's? But if, my white counterpart said she had a master's, it'd be like, like it's expected, right? But it's a shock and awe when it's like, when it's a black woman or a black man, anyone of color that they kind of expect to not accomplish. I don't know. That's like you said, it's a whole nother conversation, but that's basically people come in, immigrants, migrant, they think, I'll just go to college, I'll get a degree, I'll get that good job, I'll make $100,000 a year, I'll live the American dream. There are some stuff said against our community, our group, right? And it's just kind of how it is. And it's something that everybody that knows me knows I hate jobs. So it's not something that I feel like we should even force on the next generation. There's so many other options.
Right. I definitely agree. Again, ROSZ, thanks for coming back. If you're watching, ROSZ is just having little technical difficulties right now. um, with her internet, but she's back and forth, and we're gonna make it happen.
Right, even with the phone, so it has to be the whole connection
Mhm.
because even I see my phone is going in and out.
I
So
was
if
gonna
I
tell you,
drop,
you might need to go back outside. You know where you're doing the show, like you know what I'm saying. Your whole
oh, in the garage, yeah,
yeah,
the garage was a whole lot better.
yeah. So you just might have to do that. But again, for you guys that are watching, we have special guest, insurance agent Arie Wiley, who's joined by us today. We jumped into AJ Johnson and his whole lack of insurance, which of course led us into the conversation with Arie. Right now, we switch gears and we're talking about um, what's going on at the border with our Haitian brothers and sisters. Again, let me remind you, they are our brothers and sisters. And so the images show, and the question now is, what are we going to do? The word is, as we keep it going, is that some they tried to fly back, because there's a law in which Trump enacted. I think it's called Title 42. Look it up. That Biden perpetuated. He didn't repeal. He continues to follow. And so it was in the wake of basically a lot of, Mexicans, Hispanic people coming from Mexico, coming into the country and how they were handling them. And so they're pretty much treating these Haitians the same way. And so they're relocating them. We just hope that it is my hope that if nothing else, make sure that they're getting fed, as our guest was saying. The children who followed their mothers and fathers. Just think about that journey. What did they eat? I mean, how did they eat in general? And so again, let's just make sure we keep them in their prayers, in our prayers, and that something positive happened with that situation. ROSZ, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we're going to talk sports. So ROSZ, it's on you.
If I can stay here long enough,
yeah, I'm gonna open.
We'll see how I talk really fast. That's what I know. So a couple of weeks ago, prime time hit the news that he offered Alcorn State help for lack of trainers. His statement was, "This is bigger than a little rivalry." I'm not gonna try to read the story because I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. So just to sum it up, he got word that Alcorn State didn't have permanent trainers. They only had part-time trainers or contract trainers. And then with the COVID, they even had less of those. So what he offered was his services. Pretty much, hey, these guys want to play. This is a HBCU. I don't care about the rivalry that we have. I don't care about us playing the game. What I care about is these boys, these young men that want to play this game and want to succeed in this game. So I'm putting aside all of that and pretty much said, hey, if you need something from me, call me and I'll make phone calls to get you what you need over there. And he also brought out a pivotal point in all of this. This is not Freddie's Nair's problem. This goes up higher than that.
Right.
Let's look at the top people and say, how could you even let this happen? Because I promise you it's not happening at Oklahoma State University. Oh, 100% it's not happening over there. So why is it happening at this particular college, at these HBCUs? Why are we getting less than what we're supposed to get only because of, and the only thing you can compare it to is the color. It's the color. You can't look at the money because HBCUs, they got some money in the background. They got some pocketed people. So what is it? And why would you even want this team to fail on such a big scale? Because that football program is bringing in you money. So what's the problem? I'm with Deion. What's going on? We need to look at the big picture and then fix it. And if that means removing some people from positions, and that's what we need to do. Love Deion. always have. You know, people call him loudmouth, but he backs behind everything that he says, no matter what it is. He's 100% for it, and he's going to stand behind it.
Right. Well, before I turn it over to Arie, let me get my thoughts real quick. As you know, if you don't know, I am a big Deion Sanders fan. So much so, you know, I'm a Jackson State fan just because he coaches at Jackson State. I got my Jackson State, my little red hoodie, all that. I can't wait to go to a Jackson State game. I love this brother. I love this brother because, see, if you don't really know Deion, and we ain't talking about TV Deion, I got to experience Deion Sanders, the man Deion, outside of the lights, the cameras. When he played for the Cowboys, I tell the story all the time. Him, Michael Irvin, and Nate Newton. They stayed at our high school. They stayed there. They stayed there with men, without the cameras. You get what I'm saying? That's a genuine brother. People don't know that. If I have that story, guess how many other black men have that story about him? You get what I'm saying? You know, without the cameras, not going to the school where we're going to follow you and it's just for publicity reasons. That's a genuine brother who sees a need, who will turn around and say, hey, if we have to, basically what he's saying is we will send our trainers to you.
Right.
Alcorn State is in Mississippi. It ain't nothing to go to Alcorn and have our trainers help you guys. Because what happened is what ROSZ didn't say. The rest of the backdrop is that they missed 2 days of practice.
Right.
Ultimately, they played the game yesterday. The head coach, Coach McNair, stated, you know what? If our boys had an opportunity Monday and Tuesday to condition the way we did, you know, like we normally would, I think we would have had a better chance of winning Saturday. Because he went on to say that as the game progressed, he could tell from the lack of conditioning and training, it caught up with him. Fast forward, the school did hire a full-time trainer. You know, at the time the story broke, when ROSZ shared it, they didn't have a trainer. But it's funny how Negroes, and excuse my language, it's funny how niggas do when they get called out. They were never going to hire or bring in other trainers. Their trainers, again, as ROSZ reiterated or stated, basically were out due to COVID.
Right.
Which left them, and if you know anything about sports, especially on the collegiate level, you can't participate in athletics if you don't have certified trainers there just in case something happens. Somebody got to be there. A trainer has to be in practice. Something might happen. And the truth is, if it wasn't for Deion Loudmouth, they hate, but he helping HBCU. They don't like him, but he bringing that money to all these schools. They said, you know what? They went back and rehired a guy who used to be the full-time trainer for athletics. Let me say that again.
Which brings in another question: is that why didn't they football team is not every other day? That's 2 days, 5 days a week, game on Saturday. Why didn't you have a dedicated trainer and an assistant? I mean, why wasn't that in place at the time?
Right.
You knew the games were starting. You knew we had.
Arie, what you think? You don't have to be a sports person to understand the need of filling positions. Because I want to. So you be clear. This is really not about football. It's about the lack of how would you put it? Accountability. The lack of people in place.
Well, for this one, it's the lack of personnel.
Right. We want our children to go to these HBCUs, but then we wonder why they choose to go, especially our top athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And they choose to go to these other schools because these other schools are going to make sure they have everything they need for these young men to develop athletic-wise. So what are your thoughts on what happened? And why do we, because we are black, we can talk about us, why do you think we get in these positions where we don't feel positions? Or we don't feel like there's a need?
I don't know, but when you were talking about it just now, I was thinking about black businesses. People
Okay.
they won't go, purchase from a black business because they might not get the right customer service product. And people always wanting a lower price for black business owners products, right? It kind of seems like that type of situation because people will choose a D1 school to play sports for versus a HBCU because they're like, I'm gonna get a better draft pick,
Right.
opportunity. They're gonna have the best coaches, the best facilities. Like facilities is a big thing, right? Those schools
Right.
the
Yes, it
money,
is.
into the into their field and all that stuff. So just equipment. Yeah, I feel like we don't want to just. And I mean, we black community don't want to sell out and make the HBCUs follow what other schools do. It's probably going to take away from what makes HBCU a HBCU. But I feel like we probably should start moving a little differently in that way to get the necessary necessities. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
We shouldn't make the kids, students, have to potentially do without or not get the best just to attend a HBCU or just to play for HBCU. So I get that part, but by comparison, I'm pretty sure there's a whole lot of athletes that go for those other schools just because
Because of
the
this situation, and
track
that's
record.
why
Yeah.
it looks bad. Because I'm one of those who advocate now for our black, and I've always done it. When we have anytime we talk about HBCU, especially when it comes to sports, because the argument is they go to these other schools because they have better whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But on the field, that shit don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you do on the field. I mean,
Nice
it
talent.
looks great. Oh, I go to University of Texas, and I mention them because I'm a University of Texas man. It looks great, they got the best of the best, but it all boils down to what happened on that field at the end of the day. But students, they look at that. These parents who ain't never had nothing, who like, well, my child look nothing up, might have a better chance to go to the league if he goes to one of these schools.
Yeah, he'll get looked at.
Right. Now, it's far-fetched, because everybody don't make it. It looked like it, but it's a small percentage that make it. But the idea of because it looked better, was not a good look with the momentum HBCUs are now getting because Deion is being so vocal. Deion had a problem with saying, why do these children not have their names on the back of their jerseys? Like their mothers and dads in the community want to see number 12. Well, who the hell is number 12? Okay, that's
right.
And he's so passionate. He's like, I'll pay for it.
Right.
Listen, Deion is not coaching because he needs the check. Let's be clear. He don't have to do nothing else in life. And he's gonna always have a check. That's just how much money he's made. So it's not about the money. He is just very passionate, and I appreciate that. It does start, like he said, with the head up. Deion don't care. You telling me as an AD, an athletic director, which knows about all sports and everything that's going on in every sport, you were just going to sit back and let your athletes, because they're ultimately your athletes. They ain't the coaches. They the AD's athletes. So you just go let your athletes miss practice. Oh well, let's
2 days.
2 days, right? Let's not go rush and find somebody, because we know that the game is gonna be served.
Right, that's not changing.
It ain't changing. You ain't forfeiting it. So it just showed a lack of. This is why these young men bypass these schools, because it was a time where black HBCUs were getting the cream of the crops, the Jerry Rices, the Shannon Sharps. I mean, you name them. You don't get them now because they bypass it. If you guys don't remember, some years ago, hell, it probably been about 10 years ago, the athletes, the football players of Grambling said, we not even go play until y'all fix the weight room. until y'all give us better facilities, we're not going to play. How can we play in these conditions? I commend those young men for saying, we bring y'all in nice checks.
Right.
That band bring in nice checks. That's a world-renowned band. You know what I'm saying? You bring in the money, why not invest? One thing that Deion did was he invested and got people to invest in Jackson State. They're still working, but bringing folks in. And like he says, man, forget the rivalries that we have. It's my goal that we help all HBCUs. That if my boys can bring awareness, put us on TV. Listen, people don't know the first game that was put on ESPN2 or whatever, because normally HBCU games on ESPN3. You got to flip through the channel to find them. Was the second most watched game, college-wise, so far. HBCU was the second most watched college game. So it ain't that. What he's saying is give us the same opportunity you give these other universities and watch us succeed where they succeed. We just want the exposure. And so again, we don't want to harp on it, but I will say this to any HBCU, any coach, because what I have found out, this little show get around. It's gonna get around. So let me go on and say it for whoever go watch it. When you know better, you do better. These ADs collect nice checks, or they wouldn't be sitting up at ADs. They're not making $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. They're not. They might be making $100,000, $150,000, depending on the college. I'm sure the A&T AD is probably making maybe $200,000. That's nice. That's a nice annual salary to cover sports. Right. So again, man, we just need to do better as a community, especially with these HBCUs. And listen, we go switch gears. Our relationship topic is always the fire burner of the Petty Crew Radio Show. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to read this status that was posted on social media. The name and everything has been cut out. However, this is what was posted. And again, let me set this up. In the age of the LGBT movement and the case to be treated equally and looked at as a same, somebody shared a story about a parent who had a problem with a teacher, male teacher, having on his desk him and his significant other. Seems small, but in this great big world, we do have people who still have a problem with seeing that type of stuff. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to read this, and we're going to jump into this conversation. And again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's show. Again, we have special guests, Arie, Wiley, insurance agent, Arie in Connecticut. Again, I'm just still trying to figure that one out. But we do have.
I didn't even know Black people was in Connecticut.
Oh.
Now I can go visit Connecticut.
It's just always amazing. Even when I go to Boston, I'm always surprised to see us. That's Boston. That's far east. That ain't New York. That's past New York. That's up there. That's like Rhode Island.
What state are y'all in?
Huh?
What state are y'all in?
We're in Texas.
You know what? I didn't know there was Black people in Texas until I went to college, and my college roommate, she's from Dallas.
Get out of here.
Yeah, no lie. And she told me how there's a lot of she's Nigerian. She told me how there's a lot of Africans that I was a freshman and it was 2004. 2004. That was the first time I knew that there was Black people in Texas.
What?
So, yeah.
It is definitely. We are definitely here. The home of Juneteenth. So, okay, right now for you guys that are watching, if you can see my screen, I just put up this status, and I'm going to read it. It says, third grade teacher has this picture of him and his husband on his desk. The children have inquired about it and asked questions. Parents state They have no issue with his sexuality, but he should not have the pictures on his desk for the children to see. And they have gone to the principal about this situation. Do you agree with the parents? Should the principal make him remove the picture? Again, this is what was posted on social media. You see what it says. It says the parents basically went to the principal. They felt that even though they understand, accept the fact that that they're gay, they just do not feel that this type of picture should be on a desk around children. With that being said, Miss Arie, you up first. What are your thoughts about that?
So with me, it's more so about PDA. And when you showed me this picture earlier, I was like, yeah, it is two men, showing, that they love each other, kiss each other.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to be in the workplace in general, like, I don't think I've ever really went into a workplace and saw on a desk somebody kissing somebody else in the picture. That's more off-putting for me than anything. Sexuality aside, I just feel like it's really not necessary to have that much PDA in an elementary school picture, because there's a lot of kids that's not even exposed to that. They don't have affectionate parents, and they might be like, oh, look, they're having sex in the picture, or like taking it to the next level. But I mean, that's really, I mean, I don't know if the parents are right, or people got to decide how they raise their own kids. I mean, they definitely probably can't make them take the picture down. I feel like that'd be kind of like discriminating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. I don't know.
I don't know. That's why I wanted to
I
have.
don't know where that thin line. Yeah, where that thin line is.
Yeah, this is one of those. It gets your mind going. There's really no right or wrong answer to this, because this is kind of one of those. Does it cross the line? Is it acceptable? Are we still not yet acclimated when we see it? Yeah, we get it. Okay, the LGBT community, men like men, women like women, that whole nine. But once it's in our face, have we really accepted this? ROSZ, what's your thoughts? I know you got something to say.
Well, no, I'm like Miss Arie. I don't mind the picture, but it's the PDA part of it for me, and that's with anybody. I don't want to see the kissing photo on the desk.
Right.
For the little bobbies or the Olin meals where one is behind the other, hand on the shoulder. Let's take it back.
Right.
Let's take it back to the beginning. Somebody is sitting down. You know how it goes. You hands on the shoulder.
You got your arm on your
right. You're kind of gazing up. Let's take it back to that photo.
Yeah.
Why do you have to take this photo? Right. I'm like with everybody else. I don't care about your preference. I don't care what you do when you get home. And if you want to display your loved ones, by all means. But I don't want to see that part of it. And that's with anybody. I don't want to see a husband and wife like that. I don't want to see a man and man, woman and man. I don't care what it is. It has to be another photo in that house of y'all that you can put on this desk that's not like this. Why does it have to be kissing? Is that the only photo y'all got? Well, then come here. Let me take one of you. Let me come up here after school. I'll get a good, photo shot of, y'all holding hand, gazing into each other's eyes. It's the kissing part.
Right.
And then it's the grade that you're teaching. Most of these kids, they don't know this. And why would you want to force it, on them without their parents initiating a conversation? They already have to talk about the picture of you two. Now they have to talk about the intimacy. They're in 4th grade. They have enough to deal with. I mean, the walk home from school may be treacherous for some of these kids. And now they have to deal with this part of it. That's crazy.
Right. Like, even let's say if it was a man and a woman, right? But like the man is holding her leg up. You know how like you take a picture with your leg up and the booty showing?
Yeah, I don't want
It's
that.
a man and a woman, that would also be inappropriate
Right.
for the workspace. You know what I mean? I don't think I've ever walked into like a doctor's office or a lawyer's office or any professional and saw a picture of them and their significant other kissing or any other type of,
Right.
PDA.
It's in the Olin Mills.
It's
Somebody
just
sitting down.
it's this new generation, y'all.
Right. We got. I mean,
Now,
let's get back to the gazing.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I saw this and I was like, we have to, this is the Petty Crew radio show. We have to push that button. And again, like we say all the time, we don't care what you do. Your life is your life. Who you choose to love, who you choose to lay down with, is your choice. However, just because you can do it don't mean you should. And I'm not talking about loving and all that. I'm talking in reference to like this picture in this situation. Just because you got the picture don't mean you should bring it to work. I'm with you, Arie. I've never went to anywhere professional where I've seen any type of, even when you see pictures of significant others, it's not in an intimate way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's not physical. At best they might be holding hands, going back to ROSZ.
Maybe hugging,
holding hands in front of each other on their shoulder.
It's amazing. It's the
right. Never.
ROSZ, do the hand again. Do the hand again.
Yeah, they like that.
It's back
they little wedding rings.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you get. That was intimacy.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, right.
I feel like people let too much hang out nowadays. Social media is the one responsible for it.
Right. And so, but it's a couple of things going on. ROSZ stated, this shouldn't be shoved down children's throat. And the truth is yes, man, if you're against it, you homophobic, which is not true. I mean, that just might not be how I roll. That might not be what I want my daughter. My daughter, I said this before because I have a 14-year-old daughter who's going to be 15. And she talked about how she's seen two same-sex individuals kissing at her school. Well, she come home and said that made me uncomfortable. Not that she don't know about it because she's been exposed to it, but that's not what we teach here. And so for her, that's uncomfortable. And as I said all the time, this is really not for us as an adult. This whole movement is not for us. I want to make that clear. It is for our children. Now the lines of what's moral and immoral are being blurred. Miss Arie speaking on, her having a 3-year-old daughter, correct?
Mm-hmm.
See, this is for your daughter. So by the time she turns 12, this is normal.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which I agree with. I don't
This is for my son who's 2. So when he gets 5 and 6 and 7, elementary school, junior high, that's normal. Oh, it's not for us. It's and you're right. It goes back to social media. This is psychological, and I tell people that all the time. What you're asking and what you're forcing down, meaning people who look at us and you gotta like what we do. It's a psychological, but this is not for us. This is for the children. This is for them so they can get acclimated to watching shows where it's now normal where a cartoon has 2 same-sex situations. That's for us. Is it too much? I would say yes. I tell all the time, one of my closest friends is a part of the LGBT community. One of my mentors in my organization. But we respect each other's lives. You get what I'm saying? Because what you do in your life doesn't affect our relationship because that's your life. And it's no different when we're presenting this shit to our children. I think we should have a choice. I think parents should have a choice if we want our children to be exposed to that. That shouldn't be something that should be controlled by school and society. You get what I'm saying? That's for me where I draw the line. Because I said if my daughter came home one more time and told me she was uncomfortable, Boss Hogg was going to show up to the school. because my daughter is uncomfortable. You can't force my daughter to accept something that she feels is not right. Not because I got to turn around and tell her, hey, that's wrong, because I don't even do that. She knows. You get what I'm saying? This is not, I don't like, that's not something I want to see. And it kind of threw me off because when we were back in school, of course we had gay, teenagers.
But you only we had one, almost like one per school,
Right. No, sadly, it's funny, but that's kind of, it was like either you had a male cheerleader. Our mascot was a male.
But we didn't even think of them as gay, right? Because it wasn't so out there now. He was just different. That he was different. Mm-hmm. He wasn't gay. He was different. Right. And then the girl that dressed she was just a tomboy. She wasn't lesbian. She was a tomboy, which is different, right? So now it's like 20 to 30. And it's okay, and it's accepted, and if you're uncomfortable, then you need the counseling, not them.
Right.
You need the counseling because this is the way society is. Fine with that. Okay with that. But there's also a fine line is that I haven't even taught my child the depth part of this, but you're teaching them.
Right.
I think there was a news story that came up with this black lady, and I'll have to find a story for next show, but there was a book in the library that talked about a pedophile making it normal. The older man had sex with a younger boy, and this is a book on the shelf in the library at school. Now we had Huckleberry Finn with his friend, or whatever, but come on, people.
Right.
That's not normal, right? And that's the stuff that we as parents, especially school age parents, where we have to step in at those PTAs and be like, look, no, I'm not going to go for this. That's not something you should be teaching my child. That's something I should be teaching my child when I am ready to teach my child that part of life. It's not for you to dictate when my child sees this. But that's what they're doing is out there. It's in the open. And these parents are really not, saying a whole lot. Just like they're in Washington now dealing with the, transsexual athletes. They can't understand why
So we have a comment from YouTube. Shout out to Miss Coleman. She says, I just don't like how they make it seem normal and target the kids with the BS. To each his own, but don't try to force that on the kids or nobody. I will agree with you. It goes back to what I was saying. This is not for the adults. It is, sadly, it's for the children. It is. This is for our children growing up, your grandchildren going up, so that everything is kind of up and down. 10 years from now, when Silver's, 10, 15, what we once thought was wrong will be normal. Again, it's blurring the lines of morality. What's acceptable? As ROSZ was talking about pedophiles, you wouldn't have never found a book like that in a store. I mean, in a school. What's strange is that schools don't want to teach, what do they call this little theory? That conservatives or don't want to be taught, slavery was bad, criticism and white supremacy. However, they're okay with, some, because again, we're here in Bible Belt, Texas, a little bit different, but the promoting of the LGBT community, again, we support and love everybody. I want to make sure we clear on this shit. We do, as humans. But again, you can't force me to accept nothing that I don't. You don't do it with nothing else. You get what I'm saying? Think about that.
Right.
You want to force that, But you really don't try to force nothing else, really, unless it's something that benefit, here in Texas, we have the abortion laws that hit and all of that. You force those things, you're trying to control women and their right to choose what they want to do in their body or not. And again, this is not really for us. And I have to say that a lot for people to understand. You as parents are going to have to talk to your children. This is what it has come to. You are not going to be able to sit back while society is changing and you let society teach you and you not take time out to talk to your child.
Right.
You're not. You can't say because again, sadly, this is what it is. I can go right now on Netflix. I guarantee you I can pop into probably any show. A small scenario is going to pop up because now they're putting them in everything. And we know in real life, everybody's not around people who are in the LGBT community. Everybody's not. But now when you're watching shows and everything else, it's being integrated into that. And so again, with the picture thing, I don't think I would go as far as to say anything to a principal. I probably wouldn't say nothing. Would I be upset? I'm just being honest. Would I be upset? Yeah. But would I go as far as to speak to a principal? I don't think I would do that. Being a black man talking to another black man, I think I would be comfortable enough to speak to him personally. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, I get it. More power to you. But are you thinking about the psychological impact? Because if he's a professional, see, I now need to talk to you as a professional. Are you thinking about the psychological impact in which that visual is leaving on these children? In that case, if he's educated, because we were talking about degrees and education and all that, which requires a level of thinking, critical thinking and all that, then now that's going to put him in a position to get out of self and think about the children in which he says he cares about. You see what I'm saying? What now was in the best interest of my children, in which now we're talking about third grade, they're impressionable. Do I want to impress on them what I believe in, or do I want them to teach them to be kind of pure and let them grow up and, you see what I'm saying? See everything.
Choose their own way. That's part of it.
Right.
It's choose them. Now, if they come to you because they're having uncomfortable feelings about certain things dealing with sexuality, even to me, that still need to be directed back to the parents. It don't need to be shown up on your desk or anything of that nature. Let them decide it. And if they're curious, you take that question and then you give that to the parent, because you don't know how that household is set up. So you let them have that conversation. Once again, I think these new age kids, bless their hearts and bless my heart, because I have to deal with them. But it's like they're going above and beyond to prove what they are, and you don't need that much. Honey, we see you. We see you. Please believe we see you. Maya, you don't have to
generation. Yeah, I think this generation exposed to a lot. Like they're exposed to a lot of stuff. Now, when we were talking about the school thing, I remember back in middle school, I don't know if I was 6th grade, 7th grade, but I remember I had to get a permission slip from my mom that she had to sign it because there was a meeting that they were doing, and it was like health class, and they were teaching us how to use pads, like for our menstrual cycle, tampons, natural stuff, right? We had to get a permission slip.
We sure did. Sex education.
Yeah.
Yep.
And look at his face. Yeah, you wasn't invited to that meeting, huh?
Right. Because I'm like, I took sex education class, but we took general,
general stuff.
No, they taught us about diseases and all that. Like, but I'm like,
this was like an extra. This was an extra class. They brought us in the library for girls only, and we had to get the permission slip.
They took us to the gym.
Right.
Y'all ran loud.
Right.
Right.
They made us, because obviously maybe some parents didn't want their daughters exposed to using tampons or or whatever they were gonna talk about, getting their periods and stuff later. But I think for some reason that's not a thing anymore. Even, I mean, there's some stuff that my daughter, like I told you, she's only 3.5. I wouldn't really want her to learn in traditional schools as far as history class, like all these lies, right?
Right.
Like, they don't really check with the parents for anything. They took cursive writing off the curriculum at most school.
Look,
we don't get to say so as parents in that stuff, and I feel like that's where the problem starts.
Say, man, watch this. This is a true story. So me and my daughter, and my son, we're at Grapevine Mills Mall. It's this big mall in Grapevine, Texas. We walking around. My daughter sees me sign a receipt for some tennis shoes in cursive. So I get the shoes and everything. We walking. My daughter asked me, she say, what was that how were you writing?
Mm-hmm.
She literally asked
because they
me,
don't have it. They don't have it.
She was like, what was that you just wrote? I said, that's cursive. I said, back in school, we had to learn how to write, and we were taught by the 3rd grade. Matter of fact, 2nd grade,
Right.
we started learning cursive writing. I said, they've taken it out of school for you guys. So now we're going to have a group of children, a generation of children who don't even know how to write in cursive. They're going to, when they say signature
Or read it,
they're gonna just be signing their name. Just
they're gonna print it. They're gonna print it twice. They're gonna print it and then print it.
Now I've known for a long time now that cursive has been out of school. But it hits different when your child do some shit that's foreign. And now, because in my mind, okay, they did it. She ain't gonna miss some shit she ain't never had until she's exposed to something that she didn't know nothing about.
Right, until she has to sign
a receipt.
Right.
What did you just write? That intrigued her. You get what I'm saying? My daughter don't ask me too much about shit education wise. She don't do school. You get what I'm saying? But in her mind, it was so foreign that she said, "Well, damn, what you writing?
You write that calligraphy
code, yeah."
Right. And then it pissed me off because I'm like, we're gonna have children who will not.
Right.
Go back to this Haitian shit. They teaching them English, but we can't learn Spanish. They remove cursive, but again, they're teaching them how to write in English. Again, but this is not for us. This is meant to dumb our children down, and we know historically when changes affect, especially in education, who do affect more? People of color. When changes come down in education, we are the ones who are hit hardest. And it hit home. I'm telling you, you mentioned that shit, and I'm telling you, my daughter, as sure as she fucking 14 going on 15, she just stopped. She was like, what did you write?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, out of all the shit I need you to pay attention to, you paying attention to my writing.
Yeah.
It's all type of shit I want you to pay attention to.
All that shit get later. But this here.
You looking at what I'm writing.
Right.
And I was like, damn, my daughter literally would not know how to write in cursive.
Right.
Or like you said, read it. And again, it just goes back to the choices and the decisions of what's being taught is out of our hand. I want to know. I'm like, well, why y'all stop cursive? Why y'all stop that? Y'all didn't think that was important anymore?
Mm-hmm.
No, because they can sign anything and everything on a PDF form automatic.
Yeah, but you know when you signing some shit on PDF, then guess what? You still gotta
still use your finger.
No, you can type your name in. I e-sign documents all the time.
Yeah,
and it's saved.
Image. Yeah.
Yes, and it's saved. So the only thing I gotta do is hit signature, signature, send. I may not even know what I just put.
Yeah,
because I don't write it.
I use my Adobe. My signature is already saved.
Yeah. So that you don't need that. You, as long as you know how to type it, you don't need it. And it's gonna come to a point to where you're not even, you don't even sign for credit cards anymore.
She froze again.
Damn, and she looking cute at it. Damn, Raj, you was like literally in the middle of your statement, but I'm sure you'll pop back in. Listen, you know, we've had a great show today. I'm excited. I'm pumped. Um, I thank you, Miss Arie. I'm gonna call you Arie, Miss Arie, for wanting to come on the show. You giving us some valuable information. You family now. Anytime you want to jump on this show, all you need to do is send me a message. Hey, what y'all talking about today? I got time today. I want to get in because I think I would love for you to come on, man, more often just to, because we're going to have to keep holding these conversations about insurance until our people understand the importance of getting insurance for the family. And so, you know, man, feel free. Next time you come on, man, you know, give us like your top 10 tips on insurance. And you can think of you want to bring, you know, if it's something that you've seen in the media or whatever that you want to address. Man, listen, my platform is open to you.
Okay.
Reach out to me anytime, my sister, anytime. Again, shout out to our viewers on YouTube, Twitter. Please make sure you guys like and subscribe on our YouTube page. Please go follow us on Twitter. The Petty Crew 1 is where you can find us on Twitter. We are on Facebook, and if you just now joining the show, Boss Hogg is suspended from Facebook. And so when I get suspended, it also suspends all my business accounts on social media. So right now, Facebook did not have an opportunity to watch this show live as well. But I will be back up and running. And so we will re-air this show to those people who did not get to see today's show. I hate ROSZ is having technical difficulties. But before we get out of here, Miss Arie, do you have any last words for our viewers? Please let everybody know again who you are, where they can find you, how they can get in contact with you, just in case somebody wants to inquire about insurance.
Okay. Once again, I'm Ariana Wiley. Go by Arie. Out of the state of Connecticut, life insurance agent serving 20 states directly. I'll be offering investments soon. And my website actually is getmoneyfacts.com. Just like it's spelled, getmoneyfacts.com. And you can go up there and see all the other services that I offer from the financial perspective. You know, get a life insurance quote, you know, find out about some investments. And really just make sure that your family is going to be, you know, protected and secure if something happened to you. That's really my main purpose for doing all this.
All right. Well, again, thank you. And I'm just now seeing your message. So I got you. It's just that we were having, again, a great conversation. We definitely need to have this conversation. You enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you do well with your appointment that's coming up. And until next Sunday, Facebook family, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.